Variables in JavaScript. So variables are the container. They contain some value. So in JavaScript, a variable can contain different type of values. For example, variable can contain a string, variable contain integer numbers, variable can contain objects and arrays. So there are multiple type of values in JavaScript, and variables is kind of container or the holder. They actually they hold some value. So for example, so we have what kind of data we have. So we have integer like 10, we have strings, for example x, y, z. So we always write strings in double quotes, or we can write in single quote, something like that. So this is the way to write the string in JavaScript. And after that we have object. So we always write an object within curly bracket, and then we have array, and array is always come in the, we call it big bracket or angle bracket. For example, and we can assign some elements in this array. For example, this is array. The array contains 3 elements in it. This is an empty object. We will see it soon, like how we can assign values to an object, and how we actually create object with some properties. We'll see it into detail. And this is how we write strings, for example in double quotes or single quotes. That totally depend upon us. We can follow any approach, right? But I always follow the double quote approach, so I'm gonna use this. And integers are the numbers, or we can say the, and if this is not integer, then we can have decimal as well, right? So this is the values. There are a couple of other values as well. We'll talk about this later, but right now let's focus on that. So a variable we can decide with the help of the keyword. This is called var, and after that we can type the name of the variable. For example, this is a name. So this is variable declaration, right? We have defined a variable in JavaScript. So it's kind of, we have defined a holder, right? So this variable, the name of this variable is name. This variable can contain any type of value. So we can assign a value, for example, and we assign with the value with equal to sign. So when name equal to 10, so in this case this variable contain value of 10, right? We can assign this variable a string, for example, and any string, right? So we have to write in double quotes as we discussed. So in this case the variable contain this is string, right? So we can assign any kind of value to a variable. Alright, so let's see, we are assigning the integer value 10 to a variable, and let's see what is the value of this variable if we want to console that, right? So the console, let me tell you, the console.log, and we mention the name of the variable in this. So this console.log, this will print the value of this particular variable on the console. For example, let me run it. So when I'm running it, it will printing 10 because the value of name is 10. And for example, if the value of name is equal to any string, then in this case, if I'm going to print the console.log, it will, let me clear the previous output and I'm gonna run it once again. So it will print this one. So this is how we assign value to a variable and how to declare a variable, right? And one thing which is important, we can assign any kind of value to a variable, for example a string, integer number, and array, and object. Apart from that, there are few, but we will discuss later. This is important right now, so we can focus on that. Okay, so in the next chapter we'll see how to create an object and how to remove the property from the object. So what exactly the objects are, we'll discuss this in the next chapter.